we go. Welcome, everyone, to the Center for Spiritual Living Bellingham. Welcome to you in the audience and you in the audience far and wide. We're glad you're here today. I was thinking about my gratitude piece today, and as I'm sure you know, we suffered some losses in Afghanistan. And while I have a lot of confusion about the industrial military complex, I have no confusion whatsoever in being deeply grateful to those who lost their lives and were serving our country and doing it from their deepest faith and service. So I'm grateful for their service. I'm saddened by the loss and grateful that we are together to acknowledge that. And right now I'm going to turn you over to our in-person people.
Well, if you feel like singing along or standing and clapping, wherever you are, and here in person especially, we hope you'll join in. So do we come together as one. So do we come together in love. So do we come together as one. So do we come together in love. Set your fear down to the side. Come together as one. Lift your hearts up to the sky. Come together in love. So do we come together as one. So do we come together in love. Let's sing that again. So do we come together as one. So do we come together in love. We have traveled long and far. Come together as one. We are good enough just as we are. Come together in love. So do we come. So do we come together as one. So do we come together in love. One more time. So do we come together as one. So do we come together in love. Yes, thank you all for being here today. It's so nice to see your faces here in person, and thanks to everyone tuning in. All right, we'll say hello to a neighbor, or if you're on social media, type your name and let us know where you're from. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. My soul is welcome here. welcome here.
Good morning. I'm Kalish Leviel, your practitioner of the day, and I too want to welcome you here to the Center for Spiritual Living. And let me offer you a prayer. Know with me that there is only one divine presence, one infinite blessing coming to us and through us in every moment. Right here and right now, we are together, opening up our minds and opening up our hearts to each and every one and each and every word. And we are grateful, and we thank you, sweet Spirit. And so it is.
Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. Let's sing that again. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. My heart is open. My heart is open. I am awake. There is a knowing of love, love, love. My heart is open. I am awake. There is a knowing of love, love, love. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. Oh, let me feel inner peace from the center, from the center of me. Oh, let me feel inner peace from my center, from the center of me. My heart is open. I am awake. There is a knowing of love, love, love. My heart is open. I am awake. the center of me. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. So sacred, so sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. I will share, 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 this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. I will share, 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 this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love. So sacred, so secret, so precious, this love.
It's hard to know whether we should clap when we're moved. Thank you for moving us, both of you. Yeah. And welcome, especially those of you who are joining us for the first time. Grateful that you've chosen to come, whether you're here or in the larger audience that we're serving now. The theme for this month is Dancing on the Edge. And today I wanted to talk about traveling to the edge. And I had this whole week, I thought about that. I thought about, what does that mean to me? And I may not talk about what it means to me exactly, but I'll tell you before I talk about what I'm going to talk about. I was thinking a lot about how on the spiritual path, it actually is what I'm talking about, sort of, that for me, what's happened over and over and over again is I've been brought to the edge of my understanding, intellectual understanding, emotional understanding, and spiritual understanding. Over and over again, I've been brought to that edge. And I have a choice at that place. And sometimes my choice has been to retreat. And other times it's been to go forward into the unknown of what I'm being called into. But always there's this edge. And always at that that edge for me, I don't know if it's true for you, is a wrestle with fear. That fear wants to make me retreat, makes me want to stop, makes me want to close down and not know what I now know, and you can't unknow what you know, right? It's that old saying, you can't unsee what you've seen, you can't unknow what you know, but you can sure pretend for a while. So that's part of what I wanted to talk about, but I actually am jumping off a quote by that master writer and poet D.H. Lawrence. Life is a traveling to the edge of knowledge and then a leap taken. So you can see how it ties to what I've been thinking. For me, one of the interesting parts about the spiritual path is that we have to somehow come to terms with what we think about the presence of whatever you want to call it. In the old terms, it would be God or the divine. In new terms, it might be called quantum possibility. But basically, we're getting to the same place. Whereas for me, there's like an energy or a spirit that pervades all things, that is available all the time, that is offering itself all the time, that doesn't go anywhere, that is there before thought, before action, before zero. And, the mystics and the deep spiritual teachers talk about coming to a place where you are before anything begins, before a thought begins, before an action begins. And there is this presence, whatever you want to call that. And if you're really slowed down and quiet, there's a feeling that goes with that for me. There's an energetic feeling of being held, being part of something that is so vast and so present all the time that I am in it and it is in me. And the words are really hard. Like I've read so many mystics who say the same thing that I just said in all their own faith traditions. And the reason I bring it to you is that, whatever your definition of whatever that is, St. Augustine, that incredible Christian mystic, and ornery old guy, both at the same time, so it was a little hard to like him, said that the nature of God is a circle whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. And that was his way of trying to describe this thing. And the reason that's important for the discussion today is when we're traveling to the edge, for me, I need to understand that it's my edge, that it's the edge of my own understanding or thought or belief or judgment that I'm traveling to, that deep opens unto deep is another way mystics talk about this. And so it's not about the allness of everything. It's about my limited structure encountering a larger structure and going, oh, wow, now what do I do? If I go into that, I will go into the unknown and lots of things could happen. I could, and fear fills in the blank. So Rumi, that incredible Persian mystic, talked about this. And in so many ways, I have 5 quotes, but I had to choose one. Darn it. And so I chose this one. Forget safety. Live where you fear to live. Destroy your reputation. Be notorious. And, I've read that quote over and over again, and it so applies to any of us who happen to be on the edge of something right now. And I know there's someone listening somewhere that, like me, is on an edge. And one of the fear talk points when you're on an edge, like you're hovering, and it's like fear is like, no, go back. You really don't want to do that because all hell will break loose and it'll destroy your reputation. And so this quote is very appropriate for any of you who are, wobbling on that edge going, oh, should I go forward? So moving with that idea, I began to think about, well, what's the main point of this talk, in case you can't tell? Because maybe you can't, because it's so based in a mystical understanding that maybe it would be hard to grasp. So here's the point. You can have it now, and then you can just think of other things if you want. The point is that we are always called to the edge. That as spiritual beings, as sacred humans that are part of this vast oneness, the thing that we have that's different than other species who all have their own energetic is we have the call to continue to evolve consciously. And when we awaken to that call, there's no going back. There's no going back. We can settle, but we'll have a divine discontent anywhere and every place we settle instead of moving forward. So the law for sacred humans is expansion. And it's expansion not so much in consumerism, but rather in consciousness. And as we expand in our consciousness, our way of being in the world, seeing in the world, living in the world, things begin to change and we change, and it's not always very comfortable. So I was thinking about, well, why is that? What is it? Why do we have to do that? Because I'm on the edge, and I'm like, wham, 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 on the edge. And I was thinking about an old story. Actually, I had 3 stories come, and I don't have time for all of them. That's why we're going to do a pre-show from now on. This story you have probably heard. It's quite well known, especially in our area of the Pacific Northwest. And the first time I heard the story, I was on a little bitty island far, far north of Vancouver Island, in the Strait of Juan de Fuca. And I was on a kayaking expedition. And we had a naturalist guide, and it was pouring rain one day, as it is wont to do up there. And so we did not kayak that day. So she took us on a nature walk. This is a little bitty island, maybe 7 acres, maybe. And I can still remember hearing the story and where I was. I was sitting with my back up against an old cedar because we were taking shelter in a grove. And this is a story from the Haida people. And it's called How Raven Stole the Sun. Do you know it? How many of you know it? Yes. I always love hearing it. And there's different versions. So this is the version that I heard. And I brought it because I've heard so many versions that I thought, maybe I won't remember her version because the naturalist did such a good job. So in the beginning of the world, everything was in total darkness. And the raven, who had existed from the beginning of time, was tired of groping about and bumping into things. And eventually, Raven came upon the home of an old man who lived alone with his daughter. Through his slyness, Raven learned that the old man had a treasure. This was all the light in the universe, contained in a tiny box concealed within many boxes. At once, Raven vowed to steal the light. He thought and finally came up with a plan. He waited until the old man's daughter came to the river to gather water. Then Raven changed himself into a single hemlock needle and dropped himself into the river, just as the girl was dipping her water basket in the river. As she drank from the basket, she swallowed the needle. It slipped and slithered down into her warm belly, where Raven transformed himself again, this time into a tiny human. After sleeping and growing there for a very long time, at last the raven emerged into the world once more this time as a tiny human infant. And even though he had a rather strange appearance, the raven's grandfather loved him dearly. I think I speak that for all grandparents. But the old man threatened dire punishment if he ever touched the precious treasure box. Nevertheless, the raven child begged and begged and begged again to be allowed to hold the light just for a moment. In time, the old man yielded and lifted from the box a warm and glowing sphere which he threw to his grandson. As the light was moving toward him, the human child transformed into a gigantic, black, shadowy bird form, wings spread, ready for flight, and beak open in anticipation. As the beautiful ball of light reached him, Raven captured it in his beak. Moving his powerful wings, he burst through the smoke hole in the roof of the house and escaped into the darkness with his stolen treasure. And that is how light came into the world. Now, the reason that story visited me in this sort of mystical discussion of being on the edge and making a decision about how to move forward is because there is something very powerful about what we also carry. We carry the opportunity to bring light to the world, just like Raven. But in our case, it's not necessarily stolen, but instead it was born in us as we came into expression. We carry it all the time. All the mystics talk about it, but like so many people, often what we do with that light is we hide it, like the old man. We've got a lot of old man in us, you know? And so when we hide that light, we are not fulfilling what we've come here to do, in part, is our understanding in the science of mind. And there's another part of us, that's the raven, that knows the light is there, knows what it means. It means that there's going to be some major change going on when that light comes out, and is constantly pecking, begging the old man consciousness in us to let the light show up so that it can be brought forward. The raven, as wily and sly as it is, knows the secret of how to move forward, and that is not to hide the light, but to bring it out and share it and illumine our small circle of connection so that that light can be carried forward and illumine a larger circle. So I don't know what the Haida people meant by that story, but for me, it's a story of, all stories to me have to do with what we wrestle with, what we have to work with. And so one of the things that I've learned about working with the fear of the edge is I've learned to respectfully bow to fear and not listen anymore. I've had to do that with the pandemic over and over again. Probably you have too, where the fear wants certain things of me that all have to do with isolation, being cut off. And the raven in me is calling, saying, there's ways to be in the world that are safe, that are valuable. Don't hide. Don't let fear shut you down. Don't let fear take the joy, steal the joy of who you are, but rather find ways to bring that forward. And this is such an old dilemma for sacred humans that I wish we still didn't have it. But it seems to be endemic in the morphogenetic field that we share with all other human beings. And so I turned to one of my first teachers, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who, if you've been coming for a while, you know that I have a love affair with this guy. It's completely inexplicable, you know. The language is antique. Most people don't understand a word he's saying most of the time. And yet, for me, as soon as I found Emerson, it illumined things that I knew but didn't know I knew. So this is one of them. So he's talking about the circles that open up as we move past the edge, and how those circles are necessary for our evolution. And he says the life, he talks in old language. So the life of man is a self-evolving circle, which from a ring imperceptibly small rushes on all sides outwards to new and larger circles, and that without end. The extent to which this generation of circles, wheel without wheel, will go depends on the force of truth of the individual soul. For it is the inert effort of each thought having formed itself in a circular wave of circumstance, as for example, an empire or rules of an art, a local usage, a religious rite, to heap itself, this is the important part, to heap itself on that ridge, that circle, heap itself on that ridge, and to solidify and hem in the life, right? So he's talking about the edge, and he's talking about how there's a tendency for human beings to allow a certain amount of growth and then want to kind of solidify it and ridgify it so that we don't have to do that again ever, you know. And so there it is. And he says, you know, but if the soul is quick and strong, it bursts over the boundaries on all sides and expands another orbit on the great deep, which also runs into a high wave with an attempt to stop. But the heart refuses to be imprisoned. And that's the line that actually caught me this week. The heart refuses to be imprisoned. You and I are in a very difficult time. We're in a time where it would be very easy to rush to the point, build a wall, and say, no more, no more, no more. The world is too hard, or, you know, there's too much going on and I can't bear it. I don't know how many of you feel that way. I go in and out of that one. But what Emerson and Augustine and Rumi and Andrea are saying is that that's not what we're called to do here. Natural though it may feel to want to retreat, that's not what sacred humans are called to do. Sacred humans are called to burst through those ossified, calcified barriers that we built out of fear, out of the misunderstanding that somehow that would protect us. There's no safety in that. And when we do that, the soul withers. And so we have choices all the time. And, you know, I've done both. So there's no judgment here. I've retreated and I've burst through those barriers. And every time I come to an edge like I'm standing at right now, I ask myself, I remind myself, what am I here for? Do you know? Do you know why you're here? I do. I do know why I'm here. For me personally, and this is a personal purpose, I'm here to relieve suffering. And that's why this talk today. Because I know many of us are suffering. I know because I am too. And I know that the tendency would be to immerse ourselves in social media and other kinds of information to try to make ourselves feel safe by knowing more. That's not how that works. Certainly know enough, but then let it go. And listen to the voice that's within the heart of who you are and why you've come, and follow that. Be notorious. I'll leave you with another quote from Rumi. When you do things from your soul, you feel a river moving in you, a joy, a joy. And that's what I wish for you, is joy. So I'll do a prayer and then we'll close. I take a moment to become aware of the presence that surrounds us and imbues us with its nature. And I remember that this presence, this energy, this beingness, always available, always here, has an agenda that has been brought forward through all sacred humans, and that is growth. Growth of its own expression by means of each of us, individually and very uniquely. And as I remember that I too am called to be the light that I am. Not the light that anybody else is, just what I am. And I absolutely refuse to allow fear to shut me down. Instead, I accept that I'm supported by something that is much, much more powerful than fear. And that is the unconditional love flowing through me. This love is not foolish. It doesn't put me in dangerous situations, but it is very clearly calling me out to be who I am more and more fully in all the ways that I am engaged with the world. And when I meet my own fear and my own resistance to that call, I remember Raven. And I bring the light to the whole world, knowing that as I commit to that, I will be shown how, and it will be good. I'm grateful for this remembrance, for this prayer operating through me, and in any of you who choose to accept it. And so it is. Thank you. So we're going to have an offertory. We're still getting used to that idea. Many of you are offering your tithes online, and thank you very much. So don't feel embarrassed if you don't put anything in that basket. But if you want to, we always like that. All right.
All good, holy, holy. All good, holy, holy. All in my mind, in my heart and my soul, lets me know all is good. Holy, holy. All love, holy, holy. All love, holy, holy. All in my mind, in my heart and my soul, lets me know all is love. Holy, holy. All one, all one, all one. Holy, holy. All one, holy, holy. All in my mind, in my heart and my soul, lets me know all is one. Holy, holy. All good, holy, holy. All good, holy, holy. All in my mind, in my heart and my soul, lets me know all is good. Holy, holy. Lets me know all is good. Holy, holy.
Lovely. Thank you. So a couple of announcements. I wanted to tell you about, I'm very shy about this, but I am honored to have been asked to be the keynote speaker during the City of Bellingham's All In for Climate Action Week. And you'll probably see this around. It's green when it's not printed on black and white printer. What's happening, they've got the city of Bellingham's doing this huge. Every day there's different things you can be involved in, different things you can look into. And on Friday, September 24th, so it's that week of September, I think it's around, well, whatever Monday is to the 26th. So we're going to be here at the center at 6:30, and we're going to be live streaming this, so you don't have to come in if you don't want. But I'm part of, we're part of, our community is part of the Multi-Faith Climate Justice Group, who is part of a larger organization called Earth Ministries. And so they asked if I would be willing to speak to why I'm so passionate about helping change the consciousness around how to be with our beautiful planet, and also very pragmatically what we've been doing here at the center, which maybe you do know about and maybe you don't know about. But with lots and lots of help from people, our center has been moving to more and more of a green expression, and much more earth-friendly than we were when I first arrived 10 years ago. So that's happening Friday, September 24th, and you can come live and in person. Of course, we'll all be masked, or you can listen to it on our Facebook page, or our live streaming on, I think, our website, right? Yeah. So we'd love you to be a part of it. And I am going to be working with two wonderful people as well. So it's a panel where I just got to be, I'm invited because they know I'm inspirational. So they wanted somebody, to be inspirational, and then you get all the facts. So it'll be good. That's happening on the 24th. The other thing that's happening that I want to make you aware of, I think some of you were here last week when I started talking about it, but very excited to announce that we've decided to hire an assistant minister to help me. Very excited by that. And her name is Zena. Yeah. Their moving truck is on its way. It'll be here Tuesday. And they are very excited to be here. Zena is going to teach a class in the fall starting September 22nd. It's one of our core classes. And so if you are interested in learning about the deep wisdom and principles that guide so many of us here in our spiritual community, this is a class for you. And it's called Foundations Appropriately, and it's going to be on Wednesday evenings. It goes from 6 to 8:30, and it's an 8-week class with a half-day retreat in there somewhere. So it's a wonderful way to learn some basic, wonderful foundational ideas to help yourself and help our planet and the world, and also to get to know people. It is also one of our first hybrid classes. And we've been very busy getting ready for those hybrid classes. What is a hybrid class? Well, it's a class that is on Zoom and in person. And so you get to choose whether you'd like to come in and be in person with Zena, or if you would like to tune in via Zoom. And this will be happening from now on for our center with classes. So we're going to all learn together. It's one of those learning opportunities we get to have because of our pandemic. So the class will most likely be in the classroom. And obviously we'll be masked and we'll be observing safety distancing and stuff. And I'm really grateful that we installed this wonderful air filtration system that kills viruses and bacteria and mold and stuff like that. But that said, if you're not comfortable, then by all means join us by Zoom. You can register by emailing the center office, and they'll get back to you and get you all set up for that class. We have a few more loaner copies of the Science of Mind textbook, which is the textbook for that class. And we also have some for sale if you want to own your very own copy. So that's all available to you starting Wednesday, the 22nd. On the 12th of September, before that, the 12th is a Sunday, we are activating our one of our subset mottos is "Let Love Be Our Legacy." And we heard about the tremendous despair and low morale that's happening at St. Joseph's Hospital, and how the workers have been, working and working and working and working, and instead of being praised and honored, have often been abused and dismissed. And so we decided that it was time for one of our Let Love Be Our Legacy traveling shows. So that's what we're doing. And you're invited to come and be a part of it. So what do? Well, before the event, if you want to make a little sign on a stick that says, "We love you," or anything like that, we would love you to do that. We're going to bring our Let Love Be Our Legacy banner. Some of the drummers in our midst are bringing their drums so that we have a little rhythm. We're not allowed to sing, even with masks on, because they are exposed. So we're not singing. We wanted to bring chocolate. That got mixed too, which was very disappointing. I'm a strong believer in how chocolate can mitigate despair. But okay, so we're going to just show up, and we're showing up at 2:45 on Sunday, September 12th at the employee entrance, and they know we're coming. So we'd love as many people as possible to come and be a part of it. Give them a standing ovation, drum, have our signs. We'll have some cards. If you want to make a card saying thank you for all your work, we'll hand those cards to one of the hospital staff, who will make sure that they're copied and posted all over the hospital, because the entire hospital, from food service to the emergency room to PCN to every other unit, they're having a really rough time. So I hope you'll join us on the 12th. And that's enough for today, enough announcements. Why don't we take it out on a really high note and have these lovely people send us out with a song.
Blessed day, I am thankful, grateful heart, I am whole. Glory be to the power of this mind that I know. So full praise to the wonder, freedom, sing a joyful song, calling love to the center, lifting all is one. I sing it now, so it is anything I dream. It is singing now, so it is. Think bigger now, so it is. I'm holding this vision of peace, knowing a world of harmony, calling love to the center, lifting all. We are free. I sing it now, so it is anything I dream. It is singing now, so it is. Think bigger now, so it is. I'm holding this vision of peace, knowing a world of harmony, calling love to the center, lifting all. We are free, calling love to the center, lifting all. We are free. Thank you all so much for being here today, and we'll see you again soon.